Upper West Region. Wa. Wa is the capital of the Wa Municipal District and the Upper West region of the northern part of Ghana. Islamic religion is the most practiced religion in the town. It has a population of over 102,446 inhabitants, and majority of the people are engaged in farming activities. In Wa, we engage with a number of 10 organizations, most particularly transport firms, agric firms, and popular businesses. A key interaction was between a GIZ center where capacity building and support is offered to lots of farmers in the town. Poor attitudinal mindset towards entrepreneurship was one key challenge we realized amongst the youth and other businesses. The city of Wa eludes some developed standards. However, it promises much growth with involvement and acquaintance of technology in business.
So in Wa, we visited a number of 10 organizations consisting of transport firms, health institutions, food processing, the agric firms, as well as waste management. So we realized that the most promising digital market as well as the most dominant industry there is agriculture, as well as the most cultivated producers, sorghum and soya bean. In regards to the key challenges that most businesses face over there, access to finance was one major challenge that businesses in Wa face, as well as the attitudinal mindset of the indigenous.
Wa can be identified as one of the slow-growing cities in relation to entrepreneurship and access to financial support. Findings captured that access to finance in the region was low due to several factors such as poor entrepreneurial mindset of local entrepreneurs, low literacy rates, poor record keeping, lack of focus and continuity plans, amongst many other factors that has discouraged most financial institutions from investing in local entrepreneurs.
So for our engagements in Wa, we noticed that the financial pace or the growth pace in the finances of Wa is a bit slow. This can be attributed to the shake-up in the financial sector in the whole country. It's deterring investors from engaging with the startups or local entrepreneurs, which is going to also, in the long run, slow the pace of entrepreneurship in the region. And then if there's not much entrepreneur for their producing what the region needs, and if they outsource a lot, it's going to slow down their financial growth there. Some of the challenges we noticed was that the literacy rates there is a bit on the low. There's also lack of entrepreneurial skills. The financial literacy needed to venture into some particular industries are quite lacking there. But also we were able to identify a few opportunities in the region. Some of the opportunities were we got female mentors who were willing to support startups or entrepreneurs to be able to empower women more to go into entrepreneurship and to be able to work on their own and not be dependent on other parties. And then some of the recommendations were there should be more training there should be more financial training there to increase the financial literacy rates there. This is going to push people to venture into more businesses. So some of the financial institutions are willing to support the businesses there, but most of them would prefer the businesses to be at their growth stage, to be up and running and already registered, due to their fear of their startups not doing well in the region, not being able to withstand all the circumstances surrounding them. But we have businesses that are going on, especially those into share butter and the likes.
In Wa, our engagement with various human capital stakeholders made us realize that the youth are ready to learn and improve. They have high entrepreneurial mindset. However, they need help to fine-tune their ideas into successful brands. Developing their human capital potential through digital marketing training, improving their product development and branding skills will go a long way to help them take advantage of opportunities that are currently available in traditional clothing and agribusiness.
We visited 2 tertiary institutions, 5 second cycle institutions, and then 3 special schools, from the deaf school to vocational training schools. And we found that across board, there was a problem with product development and branding. Many people did not know how best to package their products to make it sell and make it more attractive to the general public. And digital marketing skills were very low in the region. So there are people who are producing very lovely things but are not able to project themselves online for those in southern Ghana to see and want to buy it. Even though we know people in the southern Ghana want some of the products they are selling, from livestock to crops and even smokes. A lot more trading has to be done in relation to using mobile devices to help a business, from e-commerce to product photo shoots, mobile photography, and then also for how to package goods and then how to label them correctly. These are things that are going to help make goods and services provided more attractive to the general public. There are issues where there's the problem of people not wanting to buy a locally manufactured good and they prefer something made from the west or the eastern parts of the world, and it's all because of the way it is packaged and branded.
The media landscape in Wa is growing but very dynamic. Our findings reveal that the main source of information dissemination is radio and is relied on by the people living in Wa. However, though the media cited access to information as a key challenge, we discovered that language was a barrier for the media. The new media, blogging, stands to be a fast-growing medium for propagation of news. The audience in Wa relates more with media houses who apply to the masses in local languages. Women are bridging the gap in Wa in terms of venturing into businesses. One of the main businesses women engaged in was smock weaving and sewing. This project is spearheaded by the Center for National Culture and has provided women with employable skills. The challenge is access to finance after completing the training.
In Wa, we engage correspondents, media managers, and cultural institutions. And the peculiar thing in Wa is that in terms of the media, it's an emerging media landscape. But the very peculiar and interesting thing that we came across was the fact that the online marketing thing was a trend that was really catching on in Wa, irrespective of the fact that it seemed to be a region that is, in quotes, underdeveloped. We found out that the challenge for media personnel was language. Language was a barrier, so it affected access to information. So people come with a need to advertise their brands, but they are not able to communicate exactly what they want to do. We found out that radio was something that was an emerging or a dominant media landscape that people were using. It wasn't so expensive to access, but the other thing was that businesses did not really see the relevance to promote or advertise their businesses. So the masses rather appealed to media organizations that broadcast in a way that appeals to them. In terms of the cultural aspect, one key organization that we engaged was the Center for National Culture across the country. And in Wa, a very unique and peculiar thing that was happening there was the fact that the center had taken it upon themselves to deploy a women empowerment initiative. By that, I mean that a trend in the northern part of the country found less women engaging in entrepreneurial activities because they were seen to be more of custodians or caregivers at home. Virtually, most of them tend to be housewives. But we found out from the center that there's a high rate of domestic violence in the region because most women are not working and they tend to rely on their husbands who are breadwinners. So the center, out of its corporate social responsibility again, started an initiative by training deprived girls and women of all ages in smoke weaving. So a drive around Wa, you'd find that there are so many smoke weaving centers across the city, all the way to the outskirts. And most of them are people who have graduated from the center's initiative and are now implementing what they've learned. Mind you, what the center does is totally free of charge and is in a duration of 2 years.
In Wa, the team discovered that the landscape needs more entrepreneurial training to equip the business community to grow and expand, as there's a slow growth in businesses.
So with Wa, I observed that there's no formalized support entity. There's less exposure for startups, and also there's a wrong entrepreneurial mindset or perception. So it largely affects the kind of support they get from that space or from that region. Against this background, it's interesting to know that some of the findings are the youth there see politics as a route to wealth or riches. The women also are being seen as caregivers, where the men are seen as breadwinners. So in terms of entrepreneurial skill sets, in terms of scaling up their businesses, is something that they do not think about, but they are more content with peasant or tabletop businesses just to feed their family, but not to produce on a large scale. So in spite of the market size of Wa and what it stands for, we found out that majority of the organizations are more agric-centered, since the city is agric-dominant. So we have 5 organizations, NGOs and social enterprises focusing on skills development for them. We also had one organization that helps startups to formalize their businesses. Then one development agency, then 3 infrastructure providers. So these are the people we had the chance to meet. We also identified a few others using desktop research, but we also realized that they have either folded up or they no longer existed. So there were just a few that we had to speak to.
The Wa ecosystem is one with minimal policy support to promote entrepreneurial growth, as well as require government's deliberate action to support the structures to meet local economic growth goals. Key of the findings was that the Wa ecosystem has 10 factories that have qualified for the government's One District, One Factory stimulus package, which shows the high potentials the ecosystem has.
Our engagements in the Upper West region, precisely the Wa ecosystem, revealed that youth had interest in entrepreneurial initiatives, but unfortunately there were less support structures to be able to support them to thrive within the ecosystem. And that reflects in the presence of various organizations that are within the region. But interestingly, with the government intervention of One District, One Factory, about 10 firms were earmarked for the funding component, and which was interesting to reveal because no one really thought Wa had firms that produced in large scale and that would have been able to qualify for the requirements for the stimulus funding under the One District, One Factory policy of the government of Ghana. Another interesting thing that we identified, which everyone could try adopting, was the fact that the agricultural sector, which is the dominant sector in the Upper West region and specifically in the Wa ecosystem, had a model that was being operated by the Ministry of Food and Agriculture Regional Office, where there was a relationship that was cyclical. That's the farmer extension officer researcher relation, researcher extension officer farmer relation. And here farmers were introduced to technology through the extension officers, and feedback were given back to the extension officers, who feed them back to the researchers, or where the source of the technology. And this is very interesting because it then ensures that entrepreneurs, in this case largely farmers, needs are really being able to be met. And where they have challenges, proponents of solutions would be able to work on probable solutions that would be able to help them.